Hey, good afternoon. Hey, good afternoon, YouTubers, Facebookers, party people alike. This is Clay with Clay's AC and Auto Repair and Clay Motion here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And this is the Clay Way. If this video is helpful, please subscribe, share, click the notifications, send me your wonderful comments. If you want to reach out to me, hit me up on Clay's AC and Auto Repair on the Facebook. I'll try to answer your automotive related needs. And remember, if anybody else can do it, you can do it too. So today we're going to work on this 2009 Chevy Impala. This procedure is going to be the same for the 2007, basically when they changed the body style, maybe 2006 if I remember right, up to like 2013, 2014, and it's pretty much going to cover most rear struts. Okay, so if you live up in the north in the Rust Belt, you may have had this situation happen to you, maybe not. What we're doing is we had no indication that the struts were bad other than that they had a little bit more bounce to them than they normally do. This particular situation, our strut plate actually rusted, dropped down on the top of our tire, and you can see where it gouged into the tire. My uncle was broke down on the side of the road, and I'm going to show you. If you look right here, you can see how this has got a really straight, flat edge. And then if we look at the other side, this has got a more of an angled edge. So what had happened is this collapsed and allowed the tire to contact the bottom plate of the strut and was rubbing up inside here. So what we did, because we were broke down on the side of the road, there wasn't a whole lot we could do other than call a tow truck, pay $150 to have it towed. We just quite simply put the spare tire on it. Makes a lot of sense, but when you're broke down on the side of the road, it might not come to you because your tire's not flat, and you know, it's whatever. So we're going to go ahead, and Jeff is going to install brand new struts into this thing. We're going to take the struts out, and because it was a little bit more affordable to change the cartridge, and this portion of the strut is considered the cartridge, and we have the equipment to do the spring safely. If you don't have the equipment, you can rent them at most stores. They're called a McPherson spring compressor, and you can do it in your driveway. Just be really careful with these. Don't do it without the proper tooling, because if you do, these springs can fly off, hit you in the face, and kill you dead. I've heard of it happening. I've never known anybody to do it, but be careful with that. While you're doing this, you're probably going to end up needing new what's called stabilizer link pins. We're also going to replace them as well, but because we have torches, we're going to cut these off. We're not too worried about taking them out. Now, I will say this. If you do decide to reuse these stabilizer link pins, worst thing that can happen is they could clunk a little bit. You got a sway bar in the back of here. It's not 100% necessary. It helps with steering and it helps with tire wear. It allows the vehicle, when you turn a corner, to push down. If that tire raises up, it pushes the bar down, which sends the energy over here and puts this tire to the ground and pushes it to the ground. So it does have a very good usefulness. But on the other hand, is it 100% necessary to have a sway bar? No, it's not. In the front, it will affect a heavier vehicle much greater than it will a lighter vehicle. If you've ever bought in a cheap car, it may not even have a sway bar in the front of it because it's so inexpensive. They wanted to do away with this $200 or $300 cost, so they took that out of there. But on light vehicles, it's not so necessary. But when you get into a heavier, like mid-size vehicle, it does have a usefulness. Now, obviously, to start this procedure, we've already jacked the vehicle up. We removed the wheels. We're going to use this moment to check our brake pads. We're also going to take out these two bolts that hold this on here and anything that is affixed to the strut. In this situation, because it's a rear, it's only got the stabilizer link pin. Then we're going to go into the trunk, and we're going to take the 3 bolts that hold the strut on, take them out, and then we'll come down here and remove these 2 bolts, and Jeff and Cameron will take over showing you that.
Things off by removing the link pins. Now, because we're not going to be putting new link pins on, I'm just going to go ahead and use a cutting torch. I'm going to cut the bolts in the back to release it from the sway bar, and we're going to do that, repeat that process on the other side before we remove the mount bolts and the upper bolts. All right, now after you get your link pins undone, we're going to come inside the trunk. Now we're going to pull the fender liner out of here, carpeting, and you can see there's going to be a rubber cap like this on top of there. There's one over here on this one. You can see it over there. You're going to pull that off, and it just pops right off. So that's going to give you access to the 3rd bolt that's way up there. Now the first 2 you're going to be able to probably get with a 15mm deep well socket on 3/8 drive. The last one, though, your socket will not fit because from the factory they come in through the holes up here. So you're going to grab a gear wrench or a regular 15mm box end wrench will work as well. Just take you a little longer. And you're going to take these 3 bolts off, and you're going to repeat that on the other side here, and that'll release the strut from the strut mount up here in the car. And then we'll go down below and release the 2 bolts down below and pull the struts out. Okay, now we've got your 3 bolts mount undone from up top. Lifted the car back up. Now you're going to release both the top and bottom bolts here on both sides, and that will release the strut completely from the suspension. You pull it out and we'll rebuild the struts.
Okay, so now we've got the struts removed from the vehicle, and we can stand them up and look at them, and we can see that the perch is definitely different on the one, and it's slanted a little bit more than it should be. So we're going to disassemble them, and we're going to be installing Monroe struts on this. And the part number that we're going to use is 71662. Now we have 2 different kinds of spring compressors here at the shop. We have this one, which is a Matco one, and Jeff is going to demonstrate how that works. But we also have a wall anchored one. Now this spring compressor we never installed from the other shop. Not that it really matters for you guys, but if we were at the other shop, this would be mounted on the wall. You could set the strut in there, could screw it down, and it would compress the spring, and it's pretty safe and works really well. But you guys are going to be using the other style that I've got. So when you take your strut out of the box, you're going to end up taking pliers and turning this, and then that'll allow the shaft to come out. One of the other things, before you take this apart, you want to mark the orientation of the spring, or at least take mental note of where the spring is at, so your bearing plate is in the right spot, and it's accompanied by the lower portion of the strut right there, so the bolts line up and you don't have to try to spin that when it's all tight. It's not impossible, but if you have it like 90 degrees off, it kind of is a pain in the butt. So it's better to assemble it correctly and make sure that your pin is at the same place as it was when you took it apart, so you can put the bearing plate back up in there. So I noticed as the strut was sitting on the ground that the bearing plate is sitting flat with the 2 inward parts pointing towards the ground. So that'll help you for orientation when you go to reassemble it. Okay, so to be able to put the struts back in, which caused to be a rather difficult task, what we're going to do is we're going to put the strut up in there like this. We're not worried about it getting on the channel here. We're going to leave it off to the side, and then we're going to go into the trunk and we'll put the nuts on as we do that. So you're going to need a helper for this for sure.
Okay, so we're going to come in at an angle, put it up in there, kind of wiggle it around so you find your bolt holes.
Yeah, wiggle it around so you find the holes.
That's what she said.
And it's easier said than done. See if I can guide you a little bit, Jeff.
There he goes.
You got it?
Yep.
You got it. And then you put your 3 nuts on.
And you put your
don't tighten them all the
your
way
partner
up.
will
You
put
wanna
your
leave
3
them
nuts
loose.
on top.
You just want to turn them down about 2 or 3 threads, just so the strut doesn't fall out. We're going to go ahead and push down on it. Now you can remove your brake line. Notice how stretched that brake line is right there. But we're going to try to push down on it, and we can pull the bracket down just a little bit for the brake line. How am I looking, Jeff? No?
Oh, we go. There we go.
We'll get it into the center. Give it a couple taps. Go ahead. It's probably bending in the...
It's cocked. There you go. You gotta come like the wires. There.
Then she slides up in there, and then we're going to use a pick tool, and we're going to stick it in there to align bolt holes. And I'm not sure where the pick tool is, but
Bottom
so the rest is pretty simple. Hopefully you guys found the video helpful and helpful enough to subscribe, click the notifications, and share my videos. You can comment on the bottom. Nice ones anyways. If you want to reach out to me, you can hit me up on Clay's AC and Auto Repair on the Facebook. I'll be happy to answer your automotive related questions, maybe not about your baby mama drama. And sometimes I don't even know the answer to people's questions. But God bless you guys. Remember, If anyone else can do it, you can do it too. Don't be the next to them, be the first to you.